Welcome to Sea of Whales, the Whale Geek podcast, where whale watching and whale research meet. I'm your host, Shauna Prince, scientist and whale watch operator, bringing you conversations with whale researchers and ocean experts from around the globe. Let's dive in. Today, we're joined by Wayne Ledwell and Julie Huntington of the Whale Release and Stranding Group. Welcome, Wayne and Julie.
Hi, Shauna.
Hi, Shauna.
Thanks for joining me today. I wonder if we can start with how you got into dealing with entanglements and strandings.
You start.
Well, I had come back from a QSO placement in Vanuatu in the Southwest Pacific, and I was searching around for what I was going to do, and because I needed to make some money, and this was a volunteer position pretty much, and I heard this guy on the radio, John Lean, talking about looking for someone to help with the disentanglement program. It was called an entrapment assistance program then, because it assisted fishermen to get large whales out of their cod traps and nets, and there was so. I went and had an interview with them, and they said, and look, I have a fishing background. I grew up in the fishing community, and I was fishing advisor there when I was in Vanuatu. And so I kind of knew my way around the wharf and that. And he said, I said, John, when I was finished, he said, I don't know anything about whales, really. I don't. And he said, you don't need to know anything about whales. He said, we'll teach you that. And he wanted someone who could handle himself on a wharf with fishermen and for taking whales out of fishing gear, which was a lot of animals being caught then for moratorium.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
1987.
87 is when you started.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And how about you, Julie? How'd you get in there?
Okay. John asked me if I wanted to work with the program, and because I have a background in fishing as well, but I fished in Australia on bottom trawlers, and I went to the Australian Maritime College and did a diploma in fishing technology. So I was familiar with fishing gear and making fishing gear, and so yeah, John found out about that and asked me if I wanted to work with them.
Awesome. In terms of your year so far, how has it been? Have there been more calls, less calls? What's it feeling like so far?
Well, this year there's been the flurry of calls in May and June.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think we've took 5 whales out of gear, 4 or 5 so far,
Mm-hmm.
and had a number of calls about other animals that are towing fishing gear from either being, busting out of gear themselves or being cut out of crab gear or anyway. We deal with that more now, chasing free swimming whales that are towing gear.
Yes. Yeah. More than before.
Well, before the moratorium, we never bothered any of that stuff. We didn't have time. There was whales caught in fishing gear, everywhere over the island. The island is so huge that we didn't bother with ones because, really, it's so hard to do anything with them. We'd concentrate on ones that were actually, somewhat anchored in gear, and guys had to get them out so they could get their traps back in the water. And,
and get back fishing because it was such a period of time that they could fish.
That's right.
We're in.
Yeah. So I'm assuming initially it was more cod trap entanglements. Is that right?
Well, there was cod traps, and then there was also salmon nets.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
And
none of those anymore.
No, and gill nets, lots and lots of gill nets. I mean, you could almost, fellas used to say, you could walk across the bay on floats, right? That much fishing gear in the water.
Yeah.
That's all changed now, but so everything and whales are in the same place where fishermen are, because they're just competing for the same. Both know where the best fishing is.
Yes, exactly. And then if there's gear in the way, the whales get tangled up in it, and that's just how it is, right? Yeah.
That's it. They're after the whales. I mean, sorry, the whales are after the fish, and they don't see the net.
No.
They're not aware of the net. They can't hear the net. But if they can, then they don't get entangled.
Well, that's I don't know what they are. They're Well, there was a program. John had alarms on fishing gear. We had alarms, put them
Yeah.
on trap.
Pingers. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
But we couldn't say conclusively that this whale, because it was whales would get caught up with them, they'd be wrapped around them, and
Yeah.
so we're not sure if that. There's no conclusive evidence to say that that did work, but
Mhm.
they look good anyway, and fishermen like them, and seemed
Seemed like a good idea, something to try, right?
yeah, and maybe it did work, but it wasn't. It's hard to say because you don't
Yeah.
know.
No.
One year to the next, like whether whales are going to be in that same area again. There's many of them,
Exactly.
one area is
Yeah.
it's just an area every year.
Did your season start a little earlier than it would normally have started?
No, well, I mean,
It can start January 1st.
yes.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it varies year to year.
Yeah.
I mean,
So in the winter months, you're mostly dealing with like ice entrapments and things, right? Yeah.
we deal with that usually not in the winter months, but in the spring, like maybe late,
Mhm.
when the pack ice move, when the years when pack ice comes down from the north, then we get white-beaked dolphins mostly. They're residents. They
Yeah.
get entrapped and forced ashore as they move ahead of the ice, and so we've dealt with them quite a bit over the years. Didn't do it last year or the year before. We didn't have to deal
No.
with it. We had no pack ice.
And
Yeah,
the first
well.
the first
Yeah.
entrapment this year was 11th of April.
Hmm.
Mhm. But it was
We
a
noticed,
moving.
yeah, we had a lot of whales early in the season, or like more than we would have had in previous years, I think is safe to say. Often we start with sperm whales early in the season and they weren't there early in the season. Or I guess for us, the prevailing wind was northeast, so we weren't where the sperm whales are at the beginning of the season as much because it was wild on the Bonavista Bay side. But there was a lot of herring this year, really like a big abundance of herring and a lot of feeding on herring in close to shore. So I mean, that was good for us to start off the season with consistent whales kind of holding in an area because the herring were all there. So that was a very big deal for us. So maybe that's what's going on with so many early on in the season.
Well, that's what we whales get caught out in the spring. Is people have bait nets out for herring.
Yes, exactly.
And that happened this year. It happens,
Mhm.
pretty much every spring. And there might be 10 whales on the island in April month, but one of them has to get caught.
It's just the way it is. It's a rule, is it? It's like, yeah. Yeah. Which one is it going to be? Roll the dice, guys, right?
We have a good idea which area is going to be because, I mean, we've been down the Turnsville area and on the in Fortune Bay.
Mhm.
Oh, well, over the last 5 years, we've been down there 3 times in February, which is,
Crazy.
only one mate out down there got caught. They all
Yeah.
get caught.
What are the odds, right? What are the odds?
They
Yeah.
all get caught with a mouth, and so
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
feeding them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. That so the whale that you had in Somerville that we came to that was really close to shore, that was a herring net mooring, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it got caught in. Yeah, and I mean that was a successful and it's wild to watch. That's for sure. The work you do is it's not for the faint of heart, I guess we should say. It's hard work for sure. So the area you cover is all of Newfoundland and all of Labrador, is that right? Yeah. That's a big area to cover. Lots of coastline, lots of whales, lots of problems sometimes.
Yeah, well, we have a small inflatable that we use. It's the same type of inflatable that's been used since the program began in the late 1970s.
Yeah.
It's the preferred boat of choice for us that
Yes.
we work in that soft bottom. Was it how many meters is that?
5.5 meters.
5.5 meter.
Yeah.
And that's the boat that we tow it around everywhere, and easy to put in the water.
Yeah.
And now we have, I don't know if you said it, but now we have DFO tends to help us a lot because of the whales being traveling whales. So the fisheries officers, we can request assistance and they come and help us they stand by to
Yes.
help us disentangle the whale. So just for safety, because sometimes nobody knows whose gear it is.
No,
Mm.
that's just it too. When you were out in our area with the last one, they were doing a standby kind of situation. You were bringing the gear to them to kind of get it off
Yes.
your boat because there was so much,
Yes.
right? So it
Yes.
was good to have them there for that, because then you don't have to go back to shore every time.
That's
Um,
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, because we just take what we need and we can just go back and get something else if we lose it, or is a good resource. I mean, and that's the same way we would deal with fishermen, fishing
Yes.
people, fisher
Yes.
people. That
Yeah.
it's the same. They'll take us out and we do the same thing, tow us out and have all our gear aboard the boat and stand by in case something happens, and we can just go back and forth to them to get what tools we need.
Yes, for sure. I've seen some scary videos online of people deciding they're going to do disentanglements by themselves. I'm sure you've seen it too. People who are getting in the water with whales that have gear tangled around them. People trying to do it on their own without, I think, having a full understanding of whale behavior and entanglements in general, and wild animals that are afraid. So what advice do you have for people about what they should be doing if they find a whale that's tangled up?
Well, there are several pieces of advice, and one is, don't, call us. Don't disentangle it, because we found that if people make that attempt, they'll take off identifying markers, or they'll let the whale loose with gear on it, and then we can't. It's much harder for us to find the whale, and then we find whale with gear left on it. So if they could just call us immediately, that would help. And as far as getting in the water with a whale that's entangled, if you got entangled in that gear, you would lose your life. And that's what has happened with several people around the world. So no disentanglement groups put people in the water to disentangle whales. They all do it from a specially designed and set up boat, and they have specialized gear that they use to disentangle the whales.
Thank you for that. It's scary to watch some of those videos, knowing, what I know, and I have only a small kernel of information over what you guys know. So yeah, it's scary to watch that.
Well, and also people go and they, so much on social media, and half of it is not true at all.
It's true.
Yeah. More than half, but it's just they see, okay, there's a whale there, and we saw this, how they do this, and they'll go on. And these whales, their jawline is down just so far under the water that you can't even tell if there's anything in its mouth unless you can actually look at it. And so they think that, okay, we cut off the trailing rope, which they can get up, like say there's a long trailing rope, and it's through its mouth, and it could be around his fin, around his tail. The best you're going to do is especially from boats, people, is cut off that line. And then you're just condemning the whale anyway, rather than, because the first priority is get that rope cut from his mouth.
And I think then shortening what is hanging off, it makes it harder for you all when you get there. Yeah. To kind of figure out what's going on if there's nothing left sticking out. Right? So what is happening there?
It's also dangerous. Like if you cut off the float off of that rope, right? Till the whale is a pull rope and a float on it. So, 20, 30 yards or whatever. And then a boat comes across it, and some people want to go out, and now there's a lot more activity on the water here than what used to be. Prior to the moratorium, there's nobody out looking for fish or on the water, only people that are just doing it commercially.
Yeah.
Now boats going around with fast
lots
motors.
of recreational boaters. Yeah.
And if they run over that rope and get caught in it with their propeller, there's no there's no way your boat is going under. Or speedboats go you under. And then if you can't get out, get someone to pick you up, you're gone.
Yeah. That's it. These videos are, I think they have really good intentions, but things that happen, someone maybe once was able to do that successfully without incident, but then it goes viral. And so people get all these ideas about what they should be doing. And it's really scary sometimes to watch those, because they're not even 5-ton animals. They're 50-ton animals most of the time. And so to be that close to an animal that's in distress, number one, when you don't know what you're doing, and then, you're endangering your own life and the life of that animal as well. Right. So it's just, I think that's really an important piece to let people hear. You can say it as many times as you want, but hopefully they'll hear it. Right.
well, that whale is compromised and is in pain.
Yes. Yes,
And
exactly.
something else in the water alongside of it, they don't know, but that's what caused that pain.
That's
They're
it.
not sitting there waiting for you to come up and say thanks a lot for coming here. They're just wild. They're wild animals. People forget that. You think humpbacks are these, especially ones we deal with here, humpbacks. You
Yeah.
think they're those cute little cuddly animals that you can get in the water with, and they're gonna. It ain't like that.
No, it's not. And I think to some degree, there's more people on the water, there's more people posting, but I think sometimes those pieces get missed, the wild animal piece. And, you see all kinds of things where people just don't know how to act, right, around wild animals. And so they do silly things. So I remember a video of a beluga whale that was a resident in an area, and it had been kind of coming close to the wharf and doing things. And so with its mouth wide open. And so a parent was like, you know what I should do? I should just dangle my kids' feet in this whale's mouth. Why would you do that? Number one. And then if something happens, then it's the whale's fault, right? And I mean, people just make bad decisions sometimes when they're not as connected to nature as they once were, I guess, maybe. So yeah, it's always interesting to see those kinds of things. Over the years, I know you've had some kind of wild experiences. What are some of the most memorable entrapments or disentanglements that you've dealt with over the years?
Wait a minute. The most memorable are the ones you almost forget. Because you handled the whale and been successful, and it goes on. The other ones, sometimes maybe we don't want to revisit.
No,
They did occur.
Yeah.
Something have occurred because we've been doing this since the 80s and 2026 now.
Yeah.
But most occasions those are very few and far between. And we learn from them and go from them.
Yeah. So you like the ones that go off without a hitch and are kind of like, if the whale's out, everything's good, everything went smooth. Forget about those.
Oh, it never goes off without a hitch, though.
No, there's always something. Yeah.
Because they all got hitches on the rope.
Well, this is true. There's always hitches. That's the problem in the first place, right? Yeah. Excellent point.
There have been, a lot of stories that I can't share with you here.
Not publicly, we'll discuss later. Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing is, it's from being at it so long and being around whales and gear for so long that you have an idea of what the whale might do.
And you can read behavior.
And sometimes that doesn't work either. They surprise you in an unpleasant way, but but that's usually, no one has been hurt there over the years of
I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah. You have been close calls, but it's there. As most of the way you go up in the whaling gear and it's fine. It's sitting there.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. It's just laying there and you just got to get around. There's going up and down and okay, this whale chances there is not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So you got to be right alongside them to get cut off.
Yes. You have to be
then,
sometimes on top of them.
Then you go to the next one and just kick living daylights out of you, right? So hard to judge them, right?
As soon as you start working on the whale, that could provide more mobility for the whale, and then
you're releasing more parts that couldn't move when you first started.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we had one whale. I'll tell you one story anyway. We had a whale back in the 1989, I think it was. 89. And it was down on St. Mary's Bay in a place called the Gasker Shore. And there was always whales getting caught down there. And there's, these cod traps, they're as big as, 60 fathoms, which is 6 feet is fathom, round, and 16 fathoms deep. Huge pieces of fishing gear.
Massive.
That, like weirs.
Yes.
So we had this whale and we couldn't get it out. And I was there for over a week. We go down and we go and do another whale somewhere on the way back then, because you're driving 5 hours there and 6 hours there and you're on the go the whole summer.
Yeah.
Back and couldn't hang with it. It was just wild. It's just like it was it was what you would expect an animal that size could do and would do.
Mm-hmm.
Just he had a whole cod trap on us around it and floats on a big, full of orange floats underneath it and around it. And so we decided that we went out this day, and just at the time, fellow John Lean came out with us
Mhm.
because we were doing entrapments then. John he wasn't doing as many, he was doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He came out and, let's get this whale out. That's enough of this, right?
Yeah.
Well, we went out to go at the whale, and this is a serious attempt, right? We were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out that way because John was holding up the truck. We used to use our boat as a float
Mm-hmm.
to try and hold the whale up, which probably didn't make a big lot of sense, but something we did anyway. And put a grapple down into it and use the boat to try and keep it up because you were only using fillet knives then to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Hand knives.
Yeah.
We had to get off the whale with hand knives because but the whale, he was standing up, and the whale went down, and it used to go down though. It went down, and it came up right fast and smacked the bottom of the Zodiac. And
Oh,
so
no.
I went back to the whale again because now he's up a little bit, right? We're trying to get something, and there's this
Yeah.
voice saying, "Hold me in," and here he's sitting in the water, still holding the rope out of the side of the Zodiac.
John Lee.
In a
And-
floater, though, right? So it's floating.
Well,
still.
And there was oil pants on him, and he had a floor coat. And so then that was enough of that. Then we went into the gear store, and we got it like it was the whale's about 3/4 of a mile offshore.
Yeah.
We got a heavy duty rope, organized the backhoe, and we went out and we tied that rope onto where the whale was. And now we didn't know how strong the whale was going to be with the backhoe, so we buried the tires of the backhoe in soil. I don't know. And we tied it onto a tree, a polder,
Yeah.
and we asked the fishermen to lift the rest of the anchors that were on the whale, which was holding him in place.
Yeah.
Winched that whale ashore, hauled it ashore with all the gear on it, and it came in. It came in, and we hauled it between two island rocks, and there was deep water between them, and he wasn't going to do anything because he's going to beat himself up on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because they're healthy whales, right?
Yes. Well, that's it. Yeah.
They know. And so anyway, we walked out around him, cut the gear off, and he went on.
Crazy. After a week's worth of work.
After a war, yeah. Well, I mean, we've done that various other things with them, totem, because the thing is, once the whale is in gear, he's got to come out somehow or other.
Yeah.
So a lot of innovative.
Do what you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Do what you have to do. Yeah.
Basically.
Don't come home unless the whale's out, kind of a thing.
Wow. So yeah, some long trips then. It's not always like we arrive, we cut the whale out, 2 hours later we're on our way back home again. Like that's not how it goes. I don't know
Mhm.
how long you were on the one that we saw you with. So it was, I think, 2 years ago when you guys were out here
Yeah.
on the one that was in the herring net in Somerville, or herring mooring, I guess. Yeah. But it was really close to shore. So, I mean, we've known you all for a long time. And so it used to be that when we reported a whale, we kind of knew that we were going to have house guests for a little while, a night or a couple of nights, however long it took. And so you guys would come and stay, whoever was working with you for the summer, or whoever was out with you. I remember distinctly showing up like late one night because you had been driving to get there so you could get out the next morning. And we had an infant at home, and like we're all very excited that you're here, and everybody's telling stories, and the baby wakes up and you're like snuggling the baby while we're all, it's like, I mean, I just distinctly remember that every time I think about that one trip in particular, with like Levi just being this little dude who was like, I'm not sleeping, there's a party happening downstairs. And so we have a couple of times been sort of in the area, but obviously like not coming by to watch you guys do the work that you do. And this is the first time that I've been sort of in a front row seat to what you're doing. And that one, that whale got pretty rowdy, and we have a kind of a wild picture of you up on that whale while it was tail lobbing. And you were able to cut it free, but like that one, it was sort of strange because you worked on it for quite a while, but then it didn't realize it was free when it was, so it stayed for a little bit. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends how long they've been there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes their muscles get atrophied or something.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too. Yeah. Like if
Yeah,
we were
that
trying
whale
to.
And that whale had been ashore. So it probably was disoriented, because
Yes.
whales moving all the time in a forward direction.
Mhm.
And when the man reported it, he said it was like right ashore.
Yeah,
And
because I think it was low tide, and he said it was like on the rock, like out of the water. Yeah. Yeah.
so when it was disentangled, it just sat there and was.
And before we got down there, because there had been a lot of northeast wind
Mhm.
There had been, yeah.
time, so the whale could have been there a long time for
Yeah.
hikers come again.
And nobody was out and about because the weather was nasty. Yeah.
And while
That's
we
a
were
good-
driving there, people were saying there's a guy going around. He said the whale is just laying there close to shore. A guy in a kayak wanted to go over, and they said, "Don't go near the whale. You don't know what they're going to do." And you saw what that whale did
Yeah. It was
Right?
a little wild. Yeah.
after we were around them, and
Mhm.
the whale changed its behavior, and it went crazy on us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. It was really interesting to watch. My kids were really like, whoa. I mean, they've known you for a long time. Like,
Oh, no.
oh, that's what they do. Got it. You know? Yeah. And then you're like kind of a celebrity. Like everybody wanted to come talk to you after and like, that's amazing, man. How can I do what you do? And
That's
you know, all
right.
those kinds of things. Yeah. I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yeah.
People just, I think ultimately people just want to help, but it's not something that you just go out and do without some training and some experience, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you know, what the nicest part of being at this was when we worked with fishermen, right?
Yeah.
Go out with them, and they'd curse at the whales, and they call us for
Mhm. Yeah.
everything. And then we'd get the whale out, and you know, we'd be out for fishing with them, and come in on the wharf, and everybody'd ask, you know, other people how there was the whale. It was a community thing,
Yes, absolutely.
and we weren't looked at as any more than a fisherman in the community. Because we were on the water so much, we were almost fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it was just clear away in the water. Why let that whale crowd get out, right? The whale
Yeah.
out there. And it was no, that's not like that anymore. No, we
Mhm.
don't normally not go do a whale and nobody really owns it, right?
Yeah.
Someone just coming in and nobody even knows we're there hardly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this,
Well, that day they knew you were there.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you had quite an audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there species that are harder to deal with than others, or do you really see a difference?
Well, I mean, whales we dealt with large ones. I mean, we dealt with right whales.
Mhm.
I didn't find any difference in them than the humpback. You know, they can do the same things as a hump. They're harder to work on when they're free swimming, which most of them
Mhm.
are,
Yeah.
because the humpbacks, they got something that helps us a lot. They're on white side fins,
Yes. So you can
so
see
we
what's
know when the
happening.
whale is coming up,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whale's coming up, then we can see their side fins. You know when it's under the water, you
Yeah,
follow their
true.
fin.
Yep.
The right whales don't have, they're black.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to you know, to figure out where they're going to come up when you're following them. They're
Mhm.
swimming with gear on them. But the
Yeah.
humpbacks give us that advantage because you know they're like already
Big long arms. Yeah. And they're all white.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's how we can tell. Like, okay, the whale's here now, right? You can watch him on, you know,
Yes.
on
Yeah.
close to you underwater.
Yeah.
But we don't see any like. I mean, fin whales, they're like freight trains. They're going to take whatever's there and go on.
They sure are. Yeah.
And so mostly it's
We have seen fin whales with gear on them,
yes, yeah.
but
No,
they're so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And then-
crazy and
so-
big. I mean, they're
Yeah.
twice as big as the humpbacks are dealing with in most cases, right? So, you know, it's a different deal, but they are like freight trains. I think that's how they travel, just like plowing through and off they go, right? Like
Mhm.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, and like all the other whales, like you know, well, we deal with minke whales too. Some, you
Mhm.
know, but
Yeah.
the rest of the whales, like the humpbacks, are a special whale
Yeah.
because the other whales, they're just like they ain't stopping. They'll kill themselves if they can, right?
Yeah.
But the humpbacks
Yeah.
seem to be like after a while. They seem like after a cut for a while. I mean, they go into these vicious spin. They're seeing them when you just getting caught, and they
Yeah.
go into a vicious spin. And they're
Mhm.
going everywhere, and if you can't bust it, sometimes
No.
I'm stuck now, kind of right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they let you work on them.
Yeah.
A lot, you know, for the most part. And whereas the other whales, I don't know, there's something about humpbacks that's different, and humpbacks are different than other whales.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I would agree.
we dealt with them we've dealt with many of them over the years, and
Mhm.
you know, most of the times
Yeah.
you'll most of the times you go out and said this how many times we're not getting this whale out of this today. No, we're
No.
not going to get not
Yeah.
no way of getting that out because the way stuff's happening.
Yeah.
But after a while, something happens. It's just amazing.
Something changes.
You
Yeah.
caught something and something happens, and the next thing you know, geez, you got him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And got to get off.
We talked a lot about entanglements, but you do also respond to strandings.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything you've dealt with so far this year has just been entanglements.
That we've actually been to.
I've been to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We've heard about strandings, but not gone to the site.
So
I mean,
just explain to everybody what a stranding is. Maybe that's the first step before we delve into that.
Well, in our case, there's an animal that either that comes ashore, either alive or dead, and it's called that's stranding. It's stranded out of its original environment. It shouldn't be on shore.
Right, exactly. So again, same procedure then. If you see a whale that's stranded, you should not attempt to deal with that by yourself, and you should call you guys to start. Yes?
Well, first of all, every stranding is different.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and some whales are following, they say sick whales in, or they're using former migratory routes, and then they go ashore, or the depth. It's a tidal situation, like in Georgia a lot. We hear about strandings. It's good that people call us because these are, you think a dolphin is a small animal, but it's huge. It's like 600 pounds or more, and got that powerful tail, and just doesn't know that you're wanting to help it get back in the water. So it's always good to get the call first, and then we'll help the person there assess the situation.
Perfect.
And for the most part, like when we got a large whale coming ashore, people want action. They want you to do something for this animal to get it out. Now, they could be a humpback even, or a fin whale, or anything. So we try and tell people that there's an education process on the beach. Now, we do not move these animals. These animals come ashore because they want to die. And they don't want to be pulled out and hauled around and tortured like that German whale they're a while ago. And it's happened here a lot too. Mob gets on your case, and you're supposed to be able to do this. Where's the gear? Let's get this whale out. And I said, no, this whale wants to die. This whale came in here. It's a sick animal. You can tell his body condition is not good. It don't want to drown. Yeah. And trying to get that through to people, there are groups that spend a lot of time and effort and money, flotation things and everything. They go get this whale out, and the whale these whales might think they're just ready to die, but I've been in situations where a whale was everybody thought it was going to die, and that whale went crazy, swinging its tail around when pulled it off the beach. Yeah. And so, that's the way I feel. Now, if animals that come ashore, say ice and trap dolphins, or
that's different.
These are healthy animals. They just got in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can do something for them. And in a lot of cases, we don't know. Like people call us up from, say, based in George or Stephenville or something. They said these whales were on a beach, and they got video of it. They were just thrashing around. Something happened. They were getting untied and they're feeding, and then we pushed them out, right? Which is fine. If they want to land, then it's an animal. Yeah, because we can go everywhere. Of course, strandings require an immediate response.
Yes, absolutely. These animals are not designed to support the weight of their entire body on their organs. This is not how they're built. So,
or be in the sun.
Yeah, well, that's it too, right? Yeah.
Or be doing something.
So with large whales, typically when they strand, it's not an accident. With smaller whales like dolphins and pilot whales, I know like we see sometimes, and I know there's a history in this area of some mass strandings out on the islands in Bonavista Bay. And so when you have had mass strandings before, because my understanding is that those are different typically, again, because they're in such well-developed social structures that often, like you said, they'll follow another sick animal in, and then everybody ends up on the beach, whether they're sick or not, right? So you've been involved with those before, I'm guessing. So what's the procedure there? I guess it's very different.
I haven't been involved in like, mass. For animals, I guess that's mass training too.
Yeah.
We haven't been involved in any like, area hunters. And there have been, on the Bjorn Peninsula down in Point of Gall, like in the 70s, it was before our time, it was
Mhm.
180 or 90 odd animal pilot whales that came ashore.
Crazy.
And people like the 3 or 4 that come ashore, people try and get them out,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. They call us in a 6-hour drive, and by the time we get there,
Yeah.
we dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Smart.
DFO officers engage and provincial wildlife officers, they'll engage and help.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a big problem. We haven't
Yeah.
seen anything like that for a long time. I think the one that happened out on the islands of Bonavista Bay, I want to say was like 70s or early 80s, but I know there's a significant amount of bones on that beach because it's not like people don't even live out there. So there was a mass stranding event, but it wasn't like anybody was there to help when it happened. You know what I mean? So it was
But there's
very
also,
different.
in Southern Bay and those places, there's also whale hunting there.
Yes, there was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so Chris's grandparents would have been involved with the whale hunt. And that of course was for the meat for the mink farm. So they would
Yeah.
drive the pilot whales all the way into Charleston. So down through Southern Bay onto the beach in Charleston. And then shoot them once they were out of the water and then process them for the meat for the mink farm. So we have a couple of bone beaches really close to Princeton where they would kind of tow them what was left over there. And we used to take, we used to be able to get like a fair amount of bones were still there. And some of them were almost like because they've been buried intact. So sometimes you could see a bit and you would start to dig and you could find like the entire skeleton. But now, I mean, those bones are old.
Yeah.
I think they stopped when in the late 60s, early 70s, something like that. So, I mean, they are, they get beat up by the wind and the waves. The only thing really you find now are teeth and ear bones just because they're a little bit denser. They're made out of different things than the rest of the bones. So, and occasionally, because we had a whaling station right across the wharf, or right across from our wharf in Trinity Harbor in Magotty Cove, sounds like a great place to build a subdivision, doesn't it? I live at 6 Magotty Cove. It's a beautiful place. I can only imagine how it got its name. So we found a sperm whale tooth on the beach beside our wharf, and my assumption is that maybe they processed a sperm whale over there and somehow part of it floated over, or I don't know. But when my brother-in-law found it digging on the beach and came home and was like, "This isn't anything, is it? It's not anything. It's probably just a horn from a cow, right?" And I was like, "Well, when was the last time you saw a cow around here?" And he was like, "That's a good point." And I said, "Can I hold it?" Because he was holding his hand, and I mean, a sperm whale tooth is very heavy, very dense, very different than like a horn from a cow that would be kind of light and empty, hollow inside. And so it's most definitely a sperm whale tooth, and he let me keep it, which was really nice too. So I have that here, but I have looked in the records and I have not seen a sperm whale like that was processed there. So, I mean, who knows, but it's interesting when you look at that part of our history too,
Well,
right?
Island's Eye, there was a
Yeah,
dead one there.
but they
like, in
could
the
drift
80s.
in dead too, right?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
A lot.
yeah, that's a good
That's
point.
actually one of the biggest problems with strandings there of large whales is that they come ashore, they're dead, right?
Yeah,
And then everybody, first of all, they're like, "You should call someone about this," like the science people.
yeah.
And that don't last very long. Next thing the calls are, "How are you going to get that whale out of this? It's
It
stinking the
smells
place up."
bad. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
can't leave there. There's people, children here. There's dogs here, and then it gets
Yeah.
in the they can't because dealing with those big animals is like
it's
through burn, can't
it's a
throw
health
it.
hazard. Yeah,
And you can't
Yeah.
tow them out and go at sea because now they're a navigation hazard.
exactly.
Boats are running to 'em.
Yeah.
So it's a issue.
So I know you and I have had conversations with this before because there was one in English Harbor many years ago. And so it's a whole like, no one wants to be responsible. Is it the municipality? Is it fisheries? Is it the provincial government? Who is it actually that's involved? And I think ultimately it's often just a bunch of people who get together and take care of it on their own, isn't it?
Sometimes, not very often, that happens with big whales.
No.
It's
Well,
hard to know
yeah,
them, right?
it's not a 5-minute job when it's a big one,
No.
that's for sure. So
Oh,
what is
yeah.
typically done there if there is a dead whale on a beach in an area it needs to be moved, I guess, in an area that's not remote, that might impact a community.
Well, you can tell them about the last one.
Well, it depends, right?
Mhm.
It's in a if it's in a community, then it's the community's responsibility to take care of it.
Mhm.
If the community is unincorporated, then the province is supposed to take care of it. If it's in the watermark, then before the high watermark, then it's
Mhm.
DFO's responsibility.
Mhm.
But recently there was a whale
Bend
in
it.
Spaniards Bay. It
Mhm.
was taken off the beach there and kind of stuck in a little cove called Mad Rocks in Bay
Okay. Okay.
It wasn't taken very far,
Yeah.
but it seemed to stay in there. I don't know if it's still in there, but that's
Okay.
where the group that took it out put it.
Yeah.
But people call us all the time and say, well, what should we do with this dead seal? What should we do with this,
Mhm.
dolphin, whatever?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, you can bury it. You
Mhm.
can if it's in a harbor, you can ask the harbor authority to take care of it.
Mhm.
Or people just take it out to a small beach that no one goes to and
Yeah.
they leave it there.
Yeah.
So,
And if it's like a rare species or species of
Mm.
concern,
Yeah.
it's like northern bottlenose or sourbees whale or sourbees beaked whale or
Mhm.
true.
cruise or cuvias or whatever, then we'll
Yeah.
go and do a necropsy on the animal.
Mhm. Mhm.
In most of it, because once you touch it in the community, then it's yours. You got to deal with it. So then usually sometimes we flange the whole animal down, just take the bones, and the rest of the stuff goes out in the ocean.
Mhm.
Of
Mhm.
course, but then it's a huge job, like cut down to deal with
Yeah.
all this animal.
Yeah.
So this last one we had is just typical of the calls never stop.
No. No.
The town calls, people calling, it was stinking the place up. What are you going to do about
Yeah.
it? That's your job, isn't it? And all this sort of stuff. And you
Yeah.
becomes like you hit the answer the phone.
Yeah. Right. You know what
And
it's gonna be.
some people think it's still alive,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's so kind. They
Because it's
call.
moving, because the water
That-
is moving it,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean, we say it's a big thing that people keep calling, but that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. That's why we're here, and we try to redirect their call or advise them of the
Yeah.
situation. So,
Yeah. And I think too, it's better that people know that they know who will have the answers so they can call and find out who has the answers if the information has not been widely distributed yet. So that's a good point.
Everybody calls us because our number's out there. But you
Yeah.
can't get a hold of the government or DFO and
Yeah.
off hours, or most of them you can't get hold of them anyway.
Yeah.
And so they just want someone to talk to,
Yeah.
like about a seal, right? Well, this
Yeah.
is not for the seal to be up here. Just leave it for a day and it'll go
Yeah.
back in the water. And if it don't, call us back again. And
Yeah.
it's just somebody having someone to talk to on the end of the phone, which is pretty rare these days anyway.
Yeah, that's true. You're automated and talking to AI or whatever. I mean, it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Leaving a message and hoping someone calls you back. I know the first one that I remember calling you about stranding for here was the one in English Harbor, and it had no head, or this is how it's reported, of course, right? And so can you explain why sometimes whales that have died offshore and come in appear, well, really a lot of marine mammals, this happens with, why it appears that they have no heads when they make it to us? I know the answer, but I only know because you told me. So you go ahead.
Well, I don't know if this is what, but anyway, when a large whale dies and is drifting around for a long time, eventually the bones fall away from the skull,
Mhm.
and so and then it comes in and it has no head.
Mhm.
But
I mean, those jawbones are massive and dense, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense that, things let go and those leave.
thousands of pounds, and some of them have
Right.
big
Yes.
jobs, and
Yeah.
they had it up, but yeah.
And then as the decay process continues, the muscle tissue looks like it has white hair,
Yeah.
right? So it looks hairy. So then I've had reports from people of like seeing like a sea monster and
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Yeah.
We had one sea monster there. How long ago was it now?
15,
19
20 years ago.
20 years ago. It was done in
Mm.
Pitley Beach on Fortune Bay. I must say,
Mhm.
Burnham. So it was all over the news because apparently some MDs from upstate New York were out get up to this beach, and they said there was a walrus or a polar bear had fur right on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody is up, and it's all over the news that that this animal is up there, and now
Yeah.
it's become a monster.
Yeah.
And so I went down went down to go look at it, and one of the guys down there said, "Now, boy," he said, "when you goes up there," he said, "you come back and say that's the queerest thing ever you saw in your life." He said, "Because we want to get some tourists down here."
Like a rare bird situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went up and looked at it anyway, and there's this, gigantic piece of turned out to be sperm whale.
Well,
Ah,
And it
yeah.
had been rolled in the kelp, and it looked like hair, right?
yeah.
All
Yeah.
this stringy tissue hanging off, and full of kelp had been rolled on the bottom, literally washed up.
Yeah.
And so we did the DNA on it through the university here, and said
Mhm.
yes, part of a sperm whale. No, it wasn't.
Confirmed that it's a sperm whale.
Everybody encountered it.
Wild. I mean, sometimes if you don't know what you're looking at, your brain will just make stuff up, right?
Yeah.
And then it gains momentum. It's like that telephone game you used to play when you were kids. You whisper something to someone and they whisper it to someone else. And by the time it gets to the end of the line, it doesn't resemble what actually was said in so I feel like sometimes those
Yeah.
kinds of things happen. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I remember Chris went with you once on a sei whale. I don't know if we'll call it a rescue. So a sei whale had come ashore and it was alive when it came ashore off Catalina. Yeah. So Catalina has a lighthouse that's just off the shore, and the lighthouse keepers have to go there and stay there while they're on shift. And they were super excited to welcome you guys there. I remember you had some good stories about the visits there. But the whale did die before you guys got there, and so you were collecting samples. But he brought home some baleen, which you so graciously cut out for him. And he came home, and we were living at our cabin in southern Long Beach then, and it was on the back of the truck. So he came home and it was night, and I went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning and he was off doing whatever, and I kept smelling this smell, and I cleaned the house. It's like there's this awful smell. And I had talked to him, and he said, it's the baleen. And I was like, no, it's not. I mean, the truck's way up there. It's not the baleen. No, I'll just keep cleaning. So I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned, and I kept cleaning, and I could still smell the smell. And then I took the garbage out, and I was like, whoa, I opened the door, what is the smell? And it was the baleen, and it was, like 50 feet from the house in the back of the truck in a bag, and it smelled that strong. In the end, we just sunk it in a net bag off the cabin in the water and let nature take care of what was left on it. So it didn't smell anymore, and it doesn't smell now. But we have had encounters with whale parts since then, and the oil is it's persistent.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So when you do have to do necropsies on these whales, I mean, it's not like they're freshly dead usually, and even when they are, they're still, I mean, it's still oily and smelly. So it must be quite a job sometimes.
Well, jobs stand up.
Yeah, I bet.
on it.
Yeah. Because it's not like you can sit beside it and do it. It's got to get in there, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's usually 3 days. After 3 days, you don't stink anymore. But before then, just keep your hands away from your nose and don't go in, crowds. The company's not going to be happy. But our
The
neighbor,
rule of thumb. Yeah.
our neighbor said, we had a whale and it came from Black Tickle area.
Mhm.
Black Duck Creek, and we brought it back. It was a minke whale, and we brought it back. We stopped at a friend's house in Shoal Harbor and spent the night. And
Yep.
when we left, the trailer had been leaking, and they came out and their neighbors and them scrubbed the roadway because it smelled so bad. And
no.
I had the same thing happen when we brought it back, and we were processing it here because we used to have summer students work with us.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they were great. We had a great lot of summer students over the years, and they would be using a hose and and spraying the bones and cleaning it.
Mhm.
And some neighbors did comment that there was a smell.
I can imagine the smell. So I know you guys have taken, so when you did those ones, were you keeping the bones to sort of rearticulate the skeleton? Because I know you told me before that you have some dolphins and a few other species.
Yeah, we have a minke whale that we bring to events and let people put together. And we used to go to schools around the province. We went to
Mhm.
every coastal school in the 2000s and visited and brought these bones with, and so that
Mhm.
the students could rearticulate the skeleton themselves. We like it that people can touch the animal and
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
familiar with it that way, with the bones that way. Sorry.
I think
Okay.
being on the water, you're only seeing such a small piece of it. And even when we are out there and know what we know, when we do encounter whales and can see them in a different way, it gives you a completely different perspective. So there's a minke whale skeleton at the Chamonix West Aquarium to be able to, I got to do some talks. They used to do whale Wednesdays and I would talk underneath the whale, about the whale, which is really neat to be able to do and give people a different perspective on the size, right? And even when I taught biology in Alberta, they had a discussion about, you know, that they have these femurs that are still in their bodies and what was that all about. So talking about like sort of evolutionary biology and this whole concept of like vestigial features, so things that are sort of left over from evolution that aren't really used anymore. So it sort of gives people a different idea. We have a sperm whale scapula on our deck, and people ask me repeatedly if it's a tail because it's
No.
it's kind of it's
Everybody
like
else,
stand out,
yeah,
right? And so but again, yours is the size of your hand. This is how big theirs is. So it just kind of gives you a perspective on, what you're dealing with. But yeah, I think it's important for people to be able to see things like that as it sucks when we lose whales. It does every time, anytime there's an entanglement or one that washes up. And it's certainly a loss for the population. But if somehow that can be used for education and to sort of further awareness, then I think that's really important. I know you guys we're kind of kindred spirits that way. So we kind of think the same way about those kinds of things. I think it's really important to teach people about these animals and the issues they face. I know I read a book that was published, I think in like the late 1990s. So, I mean, it's now 26 years old that said, it estimated, she was from New England, that about 1/3 of the population at that time bore scars from entanglements. And I wonder, I mean, we do still see quite a few. And of course, they're long-lived animals. I mean, we're seeing whales even this week that were identified here in the late 1970s. So it's not like, it's not like something with a very short life cycle where all those ones have kind of moved through. So we're definitely still seeing animals that were around when there were cod traps and, like you said, gear everywhere where you could walk across the harbor on the floats. Do you, I mean, maybe you don't have an answer for that, but I wonder now if are we seeing less that are entangled or less that have scars from entanglement or more, or is it remaining about the same? I mean, that's a really hard question. What do you think?
Well, there is documentation in BC that half of the humpback whales seen
Yeah.
are whales that have been entangled before. I think it's just we haven't done that work here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
it's I know that everyone whale we work on, they have scars because they're being
Yeah,
rubbed
exactly.
around.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't have we don't have time to go worry about getting photography usually.
You do not. No.
Yeah, and we're not we haven't this set program where we go out and it could be done here. Someone would you guys know more about that now. You're following the whale tails, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't we don't do that part.
No. So, okay, here's a question because I'm thinking like maybe we could write a paper on this, but I'm generally only taking pictures of tails. Like we do take pictures of their backs and their, if they're flipper slapping or whatever. If I were to try to have a look at like our whole data set and figure out who has scars, say on the tails, because that's the biggest data set I have, how many of the whales that you are dealing with even have gear wrapped around their tails? Like, would that be a valid look at who has scarring if it's just the tail? Because like a lot of them have it through their mouth and wrapped around their flippers, and I don't get to see that very often.
You're not going to
Right?
see that. No. Don't even-
Or anywhere from the fin back to the, peduncle all the way.
Yeah. I mean,
The
I'll
tail.
see pretty much the entire peduncle when they're doing a terminal dive, but
Oh, that's a big area of looking at
Because you're
entanglement.
not going to see it on the tail itself. You're going to see it on the peduncle where it's rolling
yeah,
around.
exactly where it's at. I mean, there are a few where it's come down through, and you can definitely see that there are like where the lines.
Oh
are
yeah,
cut
you can
through.
see it over their back where they've been cut through the back, or
Yeah.
where we're talking, there's
Yeah.
where they'll be cutting to their back. There's you see a lot of them too, like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
know.
I mean, that might be worthwhile to go through and just have a look and see, how many look like they have been entangled. I know that there seems to be a pretty distinct pattern of whales being coming to, reliably to a certain feeding ground and being in that feeding ground every year. And I know even it's been interesting, and we know that this happens, but even this week we've had whales that were identified on the same day in different years in the same area. So like
Okay.
if you're traveling, I can't even how do you get to the same area? You don't have a phone or a calendar, for them to be showing up within a day or two of when they've been seen in that same feeding area reliably. I mean, that's really remarkable when you think about it.
They don't have big lot else to do. You don't have to worry about a mortgage. You don't have to worry about payment on the truck. You just got to worry about getting here to B.
You gotta get
And-
there in time for whatever,
And-
and all you can say.
They know, like, okay, I mean, over the years, they know, okay, there's a bloom of, say, sand lands in
Yes.
Fortune Bay. Now, these
Yeah.
whales know.
Yeah.
And they go
Yeah.
up there and they clean that up and then they're gone. Then they don't,
Yeah.
might not be back
On to
another
the
month.
next species. Exactly. Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
know when the capelin is in, they know where it is.
Yeah.
And they don't just go out swimming around just for a swim.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's just it.
Wherever they're going, there's their food.
Yeah.
And,
They're not
Yeah,
sightseeing.
but they know how to take the currents. This is what amazes me. They know
Yeah.
how to not expend a lot of energy
Yes,
to
that's true.
A to B.
Yeah.
They use the
Well-
currents in the ocean. So they'll go, down to the Caribbean
Mhm.
and they've gone out on the ocean currents and
Yeah.
made their
Yeah.
way there.
You know when to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the old schooners there that went across the ocean to go
Yes.
bring fish. They know what the weather was like, when to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And especially humpback whales, they can sail because they got those
Yeah.
big fins and they stick them
Yeah.
out into
Yeah.
the ocean with a swell answer. I mean, that doesn't they get another couple of knots there?
They look like an airplane sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I think the more that we learn, the more questions we have. So, you never know what you might find out. I'm sure, even in your time working with these animals, just some wild things that have completely changed. Like now we know XYZ, where before we just thought it was that, or whatever. So, the more we learn and how technology changes, right? So that we can see more. Have you guys ever used like underwater cameras? I know sometimes you have someone in the water with a face in the water with a mask on, so you can see a little bit more of what's happening. And do you have time or space to have an underwater camera to have a look at
Well,
those
we
animals?
do that now more.
Yeah.
We try to get a picture underwater of what's happening. I mean, past we had always thought about it, but we were too,
Yeah.
focused on let's get the whale out. But now we try to take that picture,
Mhm.
a video, in order to give us a better understanding of what the gear is on the whale.
Yeah, because you can see more, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we only see such a small fraction of that animal. So what are we missing, right? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that disappoints me, well, actually makes me mad, is so-called like humpbacks, right?
Yeah.
We know humpbacks go, right?
Mhm.
We know
Yeah.
they go a certain place.
Yeah.
They know they come back,
Yeah.
and we know enough about their migration that we don't need to be tormenting them. They're in many places they're classified as a second-class citizen, where you can get money to go put tags on whales, and
Mhm.
I mean like intrusive tags on humpbacks.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that should be stopped, because all you're doing is tormenting these animals. You're not getting any other information from. What other information do we need from them? Why can't we leave them alone?
Mhm.
There's been enough tagging done on humpbacks, and every one who calls themselves a whale scientist probably has a crossbow and probably is trying to put a tag on it. For what?
Mm.
You know, all they're doing is tormenting the animals. We know enough about them that we don't need to be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just because you get money to get grant money to go and do it because they're humpbacks.
Yeah.
You have to know it right well.
Mhm.
You got to get a letter from God to touch them. But you can do it in a humpback, and you can do it down in the United States, and you can do it up in Canada. And
Mhm.
everybody thinks it's cool and sexy, but you know, it's already done.
Mhm. I'd
I mean, I
love to
didn't-
know where some of the other species go that we don't have that kind of
Yeah,
information on.
That's
You
right.
know?
We did enough of that. We did a population census back in the early 90s. Put
Yes.
together
Yeah.
a lot of other groups from Northwest Atlantic.
Yeah.
So we took enough biopsies and photo IDs and out of these
Yeah.
animals to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Anyway,
When you did that, was it all species or just the humpbacks?
we only did humpbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, if it's not a fin whale or it's not a blue whale, sure, we've photo.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But we weren't taking biopsies from them, those
Yeah.
animals. But we see, I think we saw 2 blue whales the whole time we were at it for 3 years.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of fin whales.
Yeah. I would love to know where the fin whales go.
Mm.
Like, what's going on there?
Yes.
You know, we don't really know where they go. We don't know where they calve. We don't know where they breed. We know they eat when they're here. That's all we know, right? And they're fast and they're big. That's it,
Yeah.
right? I feel like, I mean, yeah, that would be a big thing. We have a massive data set. I need to start cataloging. Like we've been taking pictures forever, just with humpbacks and sperm whales and orcas. It's been busy. So now we're finally starting to get caught up on some of that. So I think it might be time to delve into fin whale stuff, but they're so much harder than the other species to look at it.
But you're seeing them.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is Ridge still around?
Is sorry?
Ridge.
He's coming back. He'll be here in 10 days. Yeah. You're going to come visit?
Live?
He stopped doing the catalog right after the pandemic. So he did some of our 2020 stuff and then sort of has been helping us sort of slowly hand it over. So we're now doing the uploads to Allied Whale and cataloging it. We're almost completely caught up and cataloging in real time, which is very big deal for us because before we were so far behind. So we're getting there. Yeah. So that'll be a big deal. And then once you get caught up on one species, it means you can add another one, right?
And
Yeah.
catch up again.
Yeah, exactly. To catch up again. So, you know, it's a process, but man, if he hadn't, I mean, Chris and I talked about it for a long time, but we're so busy doing other things. And so for Reg to get started with that was a big deal. And yeah, we're hoping to do a podcast like from here when he's here so that we can talk about sort of how he got started and the work he's done. Cause I mean, his contribution processing that many pictures for that many years and really setting us up for success has been vital, you know, to this research. So yeah, I mean, his contribution does not go unnoticed. That's for sure. What a character he is. Yeah. So I'll be talking to him in the next couple of weeks. You'll have to listen into that one for sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. It's been so great to sit and chat. I always learn something. We always have good talks. I'll look forward to some of the stories that you didn't want to share in public, Wayne. So I see you.
I'm following the book. There may be
Yeah.
a book on there.
Yeah. Oh, there should be a book. Another book. You've had one already. You've had more than one already. But yeah, it's always good to get to meet up with you guys and visit. And, you know, I hope that next time I see you, you're not out for a rescue, just for a fun visit. We'll see. But whatever it is, we always enjoy having you here.
All right.
Thanks, Shauna.
Thanks,
Thanks
Shauna.
so much, guys.